everyone. So, I wasn't going to bring astrology in here, but we have so many things going on this week and for the next couple of weeks that was, it just seemed better to do it. So, welcome everyone, because this is all about forward movement, growth, and clarity, and you know I'm about that. So, if I can bring that to you, yep, that's what I'm doing. So, welcome everyone. My name is Cindy. I am the modern day spiritual advisor. I use multiple modalities, including tarot, astrology, hypnotherapy, and mediumship. Spiritual advising to help you on your path, and now the author of my upcoming book series, Concepts Create Reality. So before I get on with the spread, we have like these big aspects again. I mean, we already had like this lunar and the solar eclipse, but we've got, because the planets are always moving, but we've got like Mars moving, we've got Mercury going direct, and we have this big full moon in Pisces. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about Mars movement. So Mars is going to move into Virgo, and it'll be there for about 6 weeks, which means wherever Mars was on your chart is now moving into a different house, right? So you're going to have movement, and you know, Mars is about energy, and Mars gives you that oomph. And I mean, a lot of people like to talk about Mars being war, but Mars is about giving you all that energy and that like oomph to do things, and that inspiration and that drive and that ambition to do things, right? So with it going into Virgo, it's going to make you like, because Virgo likes to organize and put their efforts into what's going to be, I don't know, worth their time, I guess. So, like, they're going to get gains out of it, right? So, with Mars going into Virgo, that's what you're going to be thinking, or that's the way you're going to be feeling. Like, I'm going to put effort in if it's worth it to me, if it's going to bring me gains. And that's okay. I mean, you should do that, right? Sometimes we need to do that. But it's going to be in different houses for different signs. So I'm going to go over that in each sign. But then we have Mercury going direct. And Mercury is going, it's moving to that, and it's going direct or station. So it'll be, so I'm sorry, Mars you'll feel for about 6 weeks. Mercury you're going to feel for about a week and a half. And it's going direct right on the point where we had the solar eclipse, right on that point. So it's like oomph. It's like a lot of all these things that have been delayed, and this miscommunication, and these things that you have been like working through, tweaking on. If you've been doing the work, like when it goes direct, it's just going to all of a sudden give you resolution to those things, right? So and it'll give you, so all these delays, it'll give you with your everyday that lower, I mean, I call it the conscious mind, but some people call it the lower mind. You know, there's the subconscious and the conscious mind. So all of that will start getting resolved. Those things, those things of where Mercury was like retrograde in your house, it's going to go direct, and those things are going to start resolving. Even if you've put a little work into it, if you've been tweaking, like I said, to do during retrograde, you're going to feel like the difference where all of a sudden things just start moving forward, right? And so you'll feel the effects of that for like a week and a half, week and a half. And then you have Mars going into, you know, the next house, which is probably going into the house where your Mercury was retrograde for each one of you, or each one of us. And so you're getting like all this forced forward movement, right? Now, the other thing too is this full moon in Pisces. So what does that mean? So Pisces already is like a very intuitive, psychic, hidden realm kind of thing, and with this full moon, which is new beginnings, right? It's also got Neptune in there. So the full moon is on Pisces, and then it has Neptune. So wherever that falls in your house, you're talking about like miracles and manifestations and magical stuff coming to you without any effort. Like, this stuff is already going to be given to you. This is on your path. So depending on which house it is, you should start like getting these things coming from nowhere, like coming from the air. Like all of a sudden you get these things, right? So it kind of depends on which house it falls in for you. But the Pisces is about connecting to your higher self and connecting to spirit, connecting to oneness. The only thing is when you get this full moon stuff, it has to come from your heart. Now, when I say your heart, there's a lot of people that love from their second chakra. Now, and I'm talking about your fourth chakra, for it to come from your fourth chakra. Now, I haven't talked a lot about chakras here, but, you know, I'll do that on my website. The second chakra, when you love from the second chakra, that's about attachment and greed and fear and loss. Like when you're loving somebody from fear because you're afraid that you're going to lose them, or because when you love somebody because you're like, well, they're mine, that's attachment. That's second chakra love. I'm talking about anything that you do in this full moon. If it's from your fourth chakra, if it's from unconditional love, it is just going to blossom. It has to come from your heart if you get inspired to do these things, okay? Because if it comes from the other, then there's going to be ramifications. Unfortunately, this is how we decided to live on this earth, with duality, okay? So, but the great thing is this full moon is just going to be bringing all these things in different people's houses. So, on to the, I hope I explained everything for each sign. I'm going to do each house, and I'll explain the houses and then how you'll be able to receive them, and then we'll do the love area. So, see you in a minute. All right, my ride or dies, what is going on? What is happening here? So I'm going to talk about the houses first and how this moon and Mars and Mercury are going to affect you. Mercury is going direct today. Yes. So you should start getting relief from that. And you'll start, so it'll stay stationed, and you'll feel that effect for about 10 days. Yeah. And then Mars is moving into your other house, so you should feel like energized in this house. And it's really interesting because your Mercury was like almost cusped to the 5th and 6th house. So some of you may have had 5th house issues, and some of you may have had 6th house issues. And then Mars is going into your 6th house, definitely. But that full moon in Pisces is in your 12th house. So you're going to be getting some gifts. You're going to be getting some stuff. But I feel like y'all are being a little bratty because things didn't turn out the way you wanted. So let's talk about what the 5th house means. So the 5th house, and this is where your Mercury was retrograde, and some of you it was cussed, so some of you it was the 5th house, some of you it was the 6th house that it was retrograde. So the 5th house is Leo. Leo rules this house, so it's I create. It comes from your heart, right? So it's creativity, your self-expression, leisure, joy, love affairs. You know, writing, reading, drawing, any of those artistic things, that's in this house as well. So with Mercury going retrograde, if you were getting like these ideas, and if you were like, you know, you may not have been getting like big ideas, but because it was retrograde in there. But if you were working on your self-creativity, if you were working coming from your heart, it has to come from your 4th chakra, not your 2nd chakra. 2nd chakra is greed, attachment, loss, fear, any of that. That's loving through that, right? But your 4th chakra, that's unconditional love. That's like, I want to see where this goes. I just feel like I need to do this. This is really beautiful. And then you create from that, right? With people or situations or things that you're actually creating, right? Or artistic things too. So you may have had some delays in those things going on, but if you were working on it, because you're Aries, you get both, you know, you're the ram, you're just like, no, I'm gonna do this, right? So if you were doing that and you were getting delays, that may be why you're doing this now, because it didn't turn out the way you wanted, but it's not done yet. So because now that Mercury is direct and stationed, those things are going to start easing up. So you should see benefits coming in the next 2 weeks as it goes direct, right? Or you should, so the things that you were working on before should get easier, all right? So anything to do with your creativity, anything to do with your leisure, your joy, your love affairs. So even your love affairs may have had some like delays and some things going on. But it should now start easing up. So don't be sad, my Aries. You know I love you. So, well, I'll just say a little bit about the sixth house in case some of you it was affecting your sixth house. The sixth house is your health. It's ruled by Virgo. So, and it's like service to others, right? So, your work, your health, your day to day, daily routine, that stuff. If you were getting like delays in that, that should start easing up too. Okay. So, don't be sad, my Aries. Also, as this goes direct, your creative projects, you should probably start feeling inspired by this and being really practical in it. Okay, so with Mars, now Mars is moving into your sixth house, so it's going to give you that ambition, that drive, that energy. Mars is energy, so it's just going to give you a whole bunch of that. So in your sixth house, this is your day to day, your health. You should start getting relief in that stuff. But also because Mars is in there, those delays in your love affair, it's going to help it go forward, okay? And it's going to help you feel inspired. But you'll feel like, you know how in your fifth house you're just creating, you're going to get the inspiration, but it's going to be a lot more practical. So you're going to be able to, follow through because you're going to have the energy to do it, okay? So I bet a lot of you, like day to day, you were feeling lethargic, right? Or lethargy. I bet you were feeling tired a lot. So that had to do with your fifth and sixth house and Mercury being in there because that's your day to day routine. This is like your daily stuff. So you probably were like, working through it and getting through it, but now you're tired. And that may be why this is going on here. Okay, so let's talk about that full moon in Pisces because you got some gifts coming. So the full moon is in Pisces and that's in your 12th house. If I haven't talked to you guys about the 12th house, astrologers, by the way, I'm not an astrologer. Astrologers call it like the house of self-sabotage but I see it more than that. I see like this is that house that connects you to spirit, that connects you to your higher self, that connects you to the other realms, that connects you. It's like the connection of that. So this house is not meant for you to try to figure it out because that's not what it's for. It's meant for you to go in there and learn and attain information and expand your soul. That's what the 12th house is about. Okay. So oftentimes we'll get these gifts through the 12th house and we're like, we didn't even know that was part of our life until it happened. And then our whole life changed. And that's because you get these gifts. You get these things from the 12th house. Spirit's giving them to you. Your higher self is giving them to you because it's on your path anyway, right? So with Pisces being in there, and Pisces is the connection as well. Pisces can manifest without doing anything. Okay, so this 12th house, you don't have to do any effort. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try to figure it out. You don't have to do the Aries thing and try to, because you Aries are wonderful, wonderful physical manifestors. Because not only are you practical, but you have the energy and you have the drive to make something become physical for you in your world. You're great manifestors like that. Pisces do it a different way. Pisces think about it, click on it, let go, and have it happen. That's kind of how they do it. It's different than yours. But they're both right and they both give results. They just do it in a different way. So with the full moon in your 12th house in Pisces, you're going to, without any efforts, without trying to figure it out, because remember, you don't want to figure out that you can't figure out the 12th house. You already figured it out in your higher self, but not here in this life, right? So think of it as like the iPhone. It's the actual iPhone, I think, or the laptop. Like it's where you would gain the information that's downloaded to your iPhone, right? You can think of the 12th house as that. They just gave me that. Okay, thank you, Spirit. So think of the 12th house as like that, the iPhone. That's where the information comes in, right? And then you learn and expand. Okay, that's the 12th house. So with Pisces being in there, sorry, I just had an epiphany. With Pisces being in there, you can you'll get these things without even trying. You don't have to put any effort. You don't have to put any energy. You don't have to put any thought. You don't have to do any of that because you already did all that. So you're going to be receiving dreams. You guys are really, really good at dreaming. Like you guys get these profound dreams. You don't always get them, but when you get them, you get them. So you're going to have these dreams. Your intuition is going to be on point, actually. And it's funny because I wrote epiphanies in here, and this is what I mean. You'll like have these epiphanies, like I just had. Like I was like, oh, this is how you explain it, because they were giving it to me, right? So, but you also will feel extremely emotional, and this is because as an Aries, you want to control it, and you can't control this house. And with Pisces being in there, you have all that emotion going on. So you can be feeling really emotional. Just be aware of that. And you know what? Be softer on yourselves. Just be, you're so kind to others and you're so forgiving of others, but not yourself. You're like, it's almost like you hold yourself to a higher standard, right? You're like, well, they can do it that way and I forgive them and they can do it, but not me. I have to do better. I have to be. And that's good for the drive and ambition, but sometimes you need to love yourself and you need to understand that you are human just like they are, and you get to rest and you get to be loved and you get to take a pass sometimes, right? My beautiful Aries, you forget that about yourselves. You have to love yourself like that, okay? So just allow. So when those emotions come up, just allow them to come up and give yourself permission to be okay with it. Give yourself permission to feel that emotion and try to understand why it's here, right? So, with this full moon in Pisces in the 12th house, the 12th house is about endings and completion. So you should be getting endings and completion to some things that you have been working on for a while. And these are things that you probably forgot about. And then all of a sudden it comes to like fruition and to an end and to completion. You're like, oh my God, thank you. Like I don't have to deal with that anymore, but I wasn't dealing with it, right? Does that make sense? So these, because it comes from nowhere. Remember, it comes from like just out of the blue. So you're going to be getting completion in this. This is like the gifts from this house, is that these life cycles, these relationships, these things come to completion for you. These situations, these people come to completion for you so that you can move forward. Okay. So, that's all about the houses. This is going to be your love forecast for September. And although it's love, it can be in several areas, because love to me is that energy that moves everything, okay? It can be in all vibrations. So in your first position, my beautiful ones, you have the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords is about you or one sort of taking account of where they are and trying to figure out what action they're going to take, right? Because it's about working, I think I said this to Gemini, smarter, not harder, right? And maybe you were working so hard that you kind of petered out. Like you're like, ugh, I'm so tired, because you were just working, because that's what you know to do when you're trying to manifest something, right? And so you're finally at this space where you've relaxed that energy and you're like, all right, I'm going to try to work harder, smarter, not harder. I'm going to try to do this a different way. Maybe I was just running, okay? And so that's kind of your position in love, in life, in wherever your love is. So it looks like maybe some of you are dealing with somebody that you're dating or some ones that you're dating, because yes, Aries dates several, sometimes, most times. I know because my Venus is in Aries. Not that I do that now. I used to do that back in the day. way back in the day. So, I kind of feel like maybe in love or romantic love, or you're trying to you were trying to make something happen with somebody and that just wasn't happening. Then you were trying with the other one and that wasn't happening. And now you're just like, you're sitting back and you're like, all right, let me just take a look at what's really going on. Okay. So I feel like that's a great position for you, because you've relaxed the energy and you're really thinking smart. Like you're like, all right, this is how this is going to play out, right? And people don't understand. That's a dangerous position if you're on the opposite side of an Aries. Don't do that. If any of you that are not Aries are listening, do not do that with them, because they, don't play with an Aries like that, okay? Because they're all fun and games, but nope, I'm not doing it. So, what's crossing you? This is Spirit's advice in this position. They're saying yes, absolutely. Take a break. It's time. But the hanging man, that's what this is more about self-sacrifice. All right. It's like, all right, I'm gonna sacrifice, and I don't feel like you're sacrificing much. I just feel like, all right, I'm gonna sacrifice my time. So instead of me trying to get this done yesterday, I'm gonna really take note, and I'm gonna take my time doing this. That's what I'm feeling like in the love area. So for others of you, you're like, you're so used to being the dominant one, being the one that like heads it out, being the one that says way it's going to go, that you're finally taking a look back and saying, all right, let me take this another way. Let me make sure that I'm not hurting someone. So let me just be honest with people, or be, forward with them and let them know what I want, like that too, okay? So I feel like that's what they're saying in this position, like really take note around you about what's really going on so that you can work smarter and not harder, okay? So that's their advice. So I see where you came from. You came from the Palace of Wands. So this is for those of you that have never seen me before, or for those of you that have just seen me a couple of times. The Palace of Wands is a state of mind. Okay, so in your recent past, you had the Palace of Wands, which means in your head you were like thinking, what actions do I need to take? What da 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 da? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? What about this person? And what about that person? And what about, like, you were just thinking about, how am I going to move forward? How is this going to work out? What am I going to do? That's what it looks like was happening. And then you were so like, and then you finally just went, I just feel like you kind of just went, all right, let me just take a minute. That's what you did here. That brought you to this position. Okay. So it looks like this month you'll be working smarter. All right. But listen to me, my Aries. In your fourth position, you have the Judgment card, which means, my beautiful Aries, I love you, but you have some decisions to make, and you need to make them. You need to quit like... I'm seeing where some of you are trying to make 2 and 3 people happy, and they're not, it's not working, right? I'm seeing where you're trying to like please this person and this other person, and it doesn't just have to be in romance, but I'm seeing where you're trying to please everyone, and you end up getting drained, and then you don't make a decision, and then, you're just going round and round and round and round like this, okay? And then you become here. So don't do that, Aries. You have to make a decision. This is in love too, because some of you have a couple of people that you need to make a decision about. And like, I'm not going to go all the way into it because I just don't want to do that. Okay, so because they're like showing me stuff and I'm not saying it. All right, so you have to make a decision. There's a way to do it, but you're thinking about, how do I make everybody else happy? And you need to think about, how am I going to make myself happy and the other person happy, or the other person's happy, okay? You're not including yourself in this choice. That's what they're telling me. So the first 2 weeks in September, you will be dealing with trying to make the decision about a couple of things that you have to do. So let me say this. You don't have to do anything because you have free will. Everybody has free will. But if you want the guidance is, this is what's holding you back from what's going on. You have to make these decisions to be able to move forward, or not. It's kind of up to you. I see how you're looking. Look at you. You're like, I know. I already know. I know what I'm going to do. But you're not, because you need to include yourself in that decision making. You're so used to doing for others. You're willing to self-sacrifice, but you don't include yourself in the whole. You need to include yourself in this decision. Okay? That's the best advice I can give you for making that decision, or those decisions. Because some of you, y'all got like 2 and 3 decisions to be making. I know. All right. So in your 5th position, from your higher self, I always ask your higher self, what is the one message they want to bring through to help you move forward in love? And you have the 4 of coins. So they want you to know that for some of you, you see this person, he's like holding all his gifts and he's holding everything, but it's in his box. He's not really like expending, he's not really spending it. He's not really like giving energy to the world, giving energy to life. I apologize about the outside noise. So he's not really, and he's holding the key. Look at him, he's holding the key and then he's not giving any. So they're saying it's time to balance in this, okay? So if you've been giving, let me say this, if you've been giving too much, if you've been giving, like trying to please everybody, their advice, your higher self is saying it's time to start loving yourself and giving yourself. But if you have been doing nothing but giving yourself and not taking everybody else into consideration, then it's time to do that. That's what the Four of Coins means to me. It means that energy needs to flow so that you can have the things that you want, right? And that for some of you it's finances, for some of you it's businesses, for some of you it's romance. Whatever this is, you hold the key. It's up to you. Like, they're playing a part in your life, right? Just like you're playing a part in their life, but they're playing a part in your life. These situations, these things, these people, these relationships, they're all playing a part, a role in your life. You hold the key. What are you going to do next? What do you want to do? Not what do they want you to do, but what do you want to do? Okay, my beautiful Aries, that's what they want you to be understanding of in the month of September. This is going to help you move forward. This is really important for you. For others of you, this key, they're telling me, is getting you to this specific stability, this financial stability that you've been like trying to work at, trying to get to, okay? So this key holds and opens this. And that means yourself included. That means myself and the whole, myself in these relationships, myself, like you have to include yourself, okay? So I hope that helps. Oh, you know what? They just showed me this too. Sorry. So for some of you that are like dating a couple of people or maybe one person, you're like expecting them to do, and you're like, this is what I feel like for some of you. Now remember, we have different stages of life. So there are young Aries that are going to be watching, there are middle-aged, and there are older Aries, and then there are people that have just been through a lot, right? So just kind of depends on your cycle of life. But I'm feeling like this for some. You're like expecting them to open their heart, but you're not opening your heart. What's that about? And that's what they're saying too. You have to give some of your heart because, well, let me say this. Like attracts like. So if you're intuitive and you're psychic and you know, like, you can feel that this person is doing something, well, guess what? They are too. Because remember, if you're intuitive and you're psychic and you're, you know, into all of that or awakened by that, they are too. They may not say it. They may think of it in a different way. They may use different words, but they're just as intuitive as you are. So they can feel like you can, that you're not opening your heart. That's what they're telling me, okay? So it takes a leap of faith for both of you. When a relationship goes on, it takes both of you. But you have to open and they have to open, okay? So in your sixth position, oh, this is all about your ego. Okay, in your sixth position at the second half of the month, for some of you, you have a Leo coming in. I did see that. You got to make this decision, though. You got to make this decision. All right, this is what's holding you back, some of you, from this Leo coming in. So there's some decisions you have to make. Some of you have a Leo come in the second half, but others of you, this is about you balancing that ego. So in the decisions that you make, like some of you, I feel like you're being bratty. I can feel like you're like, yeah, Cindy, but. Or I feel like you're like, yeah, I hear you. And then you don't do it because you're like, I know, right? And that's your ego. I'm trying to explain to you, because I love you, that you have to put that ego in balance so that you can see clearly, so you can make your decision, so you can move forward, okay? Because some of you are like, yeah, Cindy, but where's my man? Yeah, Cindy, but where's my girl? Yeah, Cindy, right? Well, and I'm trying to get you to that. Balance that ego. There's a way to do it where you're happy, okay? There's a way to do it where you're happy. For others of you, you have this Leo coming in. So congratulations. It's about time for some of you because you've been like working at it. You just kind of get into that bratty Aries self sometimes. That's okay. As you get older, you learn how to like not have that so much. All right, so in your seventh position, this is your fear. This is another reason why I feel like y'all are being a little bratty. I'm not saying a big bratty, but I'm saying a little bratty. And trust me, I love it when y'all get bratty. Because, like, I'm telling you, some of my best friends are Aries, and I just love them. So this is about delays. You're like, there's been delay and delay and delay, and nothing ever happens. And every time it thinks like nothing can go right, that's your fear. Like, is it ever just going to be easier, right? And it is. It really is. I'm trying to get you to that, Aries. Trying to get you there. It is. It's a matter of perception, right? So if you perceive that it's always going to be hard, I think I said this to the others. I will mention it to you. I can't remember on one of the videos a while back I said this. If you understand about manifestation a little bit, when I'm trying to help people get the concept of it, when I talk to clients and teach clients privately, when I'm trying to give them the concept, if you understand that we are actually living, so our present moment is kind of the past of what we thought. Does that make sense? So you're thinking. Whatever you're thinking becomes your reality. So it's really your past that you're living in, right? So if your thought is, it's always hard, I always have to fight, it always blah, 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 and people always blah, 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 then guess what? You keep repeating that life because you keep thinking that, and therefore it keeps becoming your reality. You got to change your thought. You got to change your thought process, okay? So this is just a fear. Your fear is, will it ever get better? Will I ever stop having delays? Will I ever meet the right one and not just these pages, right? Will I ever meet somebody that's valuable, that's valid, that sees the value in me, that we connect on a great level? That's just a fear. It's there to remind you of what you don't want. Now focus on what you want. Change that mindset, change that perception, okay? So that you can start living out the life that you want to, all right? A fear is good. Fear is like a GPS. It lets you know what you don't want. But oftentimes we keep thinking about what we don't want, and then that becomes our reality. So start thinking about what you want. Start living in that and being in that and feeling that, okay? It's hard. You got to change your thought process, though. So in your eighth position, this is the way a loved one will be viewing you or dealing with you. And for some of you, this is the universe. You have new beginnings. Ace of Swords. This is an awesome beginning because it comes from nowhere. Sorry, I just hit my mic. It comes from nowhere. Like, this is fast. It's like, whoa, what just happened? It's a great thing that happened, but what just happened, right? That's the Ace of Swords. So some of you have new beginnings. Some of you, it says Leo. Some of you, it's after this decision that you've made, okay? Whatever this is, it's a new beginning coming to you. Some of you, it's this person that you've been dating where both of you have this understanding and get to new beginnings, right? That maybe he comes to you or maybe she comes to you and they're like, look, you're not giving me a lot, but I'm going to just go ahead and let you know what I'm feeling. And I really like you, and let's get this started, and blah, blah, like you come to this understanding, right? But it comes from nowhere. It's like all of a sudden it just appears, right? You do have that full moon in the 12th house. This is one of your gifts. Could be one of your gifts. For others of you, this is a person coming in. I'm seeing a Leo. I'm not saying that they're all going to be Leos, but I'm seeing a very prominent Leo. And whoever this is, it could be this. Okay? So, congratulations. You see, Aries don't really have a hard time getting anyone. They just like, they get bored. Trust me, I know my Venus is in Aries. Oh my God. All right, so, but let me tell you, Aries, it can be done because I was married for 20 years until he passed, okay? So, there is somebody to match you. Now, in your ninth position, this is your hopes and dreams, but to me, it's the outer realm of what's coming in, what you're bringing in on this line. So you have the Chariot. So there's going to be a time coming soon where you're going to be like, all right, I cleared all this stuff, now what do I do? They're saying, take the bull by the horns, take the reins of the horse and direct it. Tell us where you want to go, and we're right there with you, okay? That's what you're bringing in. You're bringing in that energy of being able to, like, finally seeing your life where you're like, whoa, I get all these choices. What am I going to do? Okay? That's what's coming to you. That's where they're trying to get you. That's where we're trying to get you to. Now, in your 10th position, this is your overall outcome in the month of September, what you'll be working through for September. You have the 10 of Swords. So there's going to be often times, and I don't know what this is, but it's really like bugging you. That's like you have just put your foot down and said, no, I'm not doing it. Or no, I don't want to make that decision. Or no, I don't want to think about it. But this is so important for you to do. It's like really, it's what's keeping you. So the 10 of Swords obviously is somebody that is just so overwhelmed and then freezes. And they just like, I can't make a move because there's so many things coming at me, right? But if you look, you see the light, it just feels like you're being stabbed. It just feels like all these swords are on you. But that's not really true. These are actually lit. These are actually giving you energy. You need to change the perception, okay? So you'll be working through that. You can always change this card. Instead of looking at the swords, look at the light, look at the lessons, look at the experience that you're going to gain by making these decisions, by doing this stuff. Make sense? That's what you'll be working through in the month of September. There's going to be some situations that are going to be coming to you in the month where you're going to feel like, oh, I can't move. Take a breath. Take a minute. Get centered. Talk to your higher self. Ask, because they're going to be coming in dreams, ask for some answers in your dreams, and they will come to you, and then you'll know what to do. And then, I mean, all you got to do is like take one of the things, and then all of a sudden it just starts shifting, and you'll feel like, okay, I can do this one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, right? Make sense? All right, my gorgeous ones. I love you, love you, love you. I'm sending you lots of love and light and insight. I want you to be clear. I want you to have courage to make those decisions, and I want you to move forward to get everything that you want. Love you, love you, love you. Bye.